Hello, in today's video we're going to be finding the vertex and axis of symmetry of a quadratic. By the end of this video you should be able to work the problems like these two below. You're going to be given a couple points and asked what the axis of symmetry would be of the parabola passing through those 2 points, and you'll be provided with an equation as a totally separate type of problem and be asked to find the vertex of the graph of the quadratic function that you are given. To get us started, we have some vocabulary, which is a quadratic function. A quadratic function is one that looks like one of these. Y is equal to 3x squared plus 5x plus 7. Or f of x, which means a function of x, could just treat that as y is equal to x squared. What I want you to focus on is both of those equations have an x squared. And x squared is what makes them quadratic functions. So long as they don't have any exponents larger than 2, it is most likely a quadratic. Now let's take a look at the next vocabulary term, parabolas. A parabola is the shape that's created by graphing a quadratic function. So if you got an x squared and you're graphing it, you're going to get a shape that looks like a U, either one pointing up or one opening down. Our next vocabulary word is the vertex of a quadratic function. The vertex is the highest or lowest point on the graph of a quadratic function, so our parabola. So for example, what is the vertex of the quadratic function graphed to the right? Well, you follow it along and you find out where the lowest or highest point is. In this case, it's a lowest point. Our lowest point is right here. So that is our vertex. So in this case, our vertex is the point 1, negative 5. Our next two vocabulary terms are minimum and maximum. If the vertex is the lowest point, it is a minimum of the function. If the vertex is the highest point, then it is the maximum of the function. So for example, I want you to go ahead and point to your computer screen and tell me whether each one of these graphs gives you a minimum or a maximum. So point to the vertex and tell whether it is a min or a max. Well, for the first graph, it is the highest point, so it is definitely a maximum. The vertex is a maximum, or the maximum value on the graph. And the other graph is definitely a minimum, since it is the lowest value on the graph. So we're finally on to our first type of problem, sort of. What is the axis symmetry to the following graph? Well, that axis symmetry is a line that splits the parabola exactly into half. So if we take a look at this parabola, you'll notice the line that splits it in half is right here. And you can always find that line by finding the vertex and drawing a line straight up and down through the vertex. That will always give you the axis of symmetry. So what is the axis of symmetry for the graph to the right? The line I just got through drawing is the axis of symmetry. The equation of that line is what you will be asked to find. Since that line passes through 1 on the x-axis, the equation of that line is x is equal to 1. So the equation of the axis of symmetry, x equals 1. Here's one for you to try. Go ahead and pause the video, find the answer, and press play when you're ready to see the answer. For this graph, the axis of symmetry, just find the vertex. The vertex is right here. Draw a line straight up and down through the vertex. That's going to split the parabola into half. And you notice that the equation of that axis of symmetry then is going to be x is equal to 2, because it's the line that goes straight up and down through 2 on the x-axis. So now we're finally on to that first question, which is going to build on everything you've learned so far. And it says 2 points on the graph of a quadratic function are shown on the grid below. What is the equation for the axis of symmetry of the graph of this function, of the quadratic that passes through those 2 points? Wow, what a loaded question. Well, let me make it real simple for you. The axis of symmetry is going to be the line that's going to split those 2 points, or the distance between those 2 points, in half. So if we find out how far apart those points are and we find halfway in between, that will find us our axis of symmetry. So the points are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 apart. Since the points are 6 apart, if you count 3 in either direction, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, yep, that's equidistant from both the A and the B. That's going to be your axis of symmetry. In this case, our axis of symmetry is going to be x is equal to -1. Again, the way you did it, find both points, find what's halfway between those points, draw a line straight up and down, and that's your axis of symmetry. Here's one for you to try on your own. Go ahead and work it out, pausing the video, press play when you're ready to see the answer. Alright, so you find out what is halfway between those 2 points, and consequently it's actually going to be the same answer as last time. They are 1, 2, 3, 4 apart. So if you count halfway between 1, 2, 1, 2, you're going to land right here again, which is x is equal to -1. There you go. You found the axis of symmetry. We're on to our last type of problem for the video. What is the vertex of the graph of the quadratic function f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 6x plus 4? So you're going to be given an equation and asked to find the vertex. To do this, you're going to need a graphing calculator. So go ahead and get your graphing calculator out, turn it on, pausing the video, and press play when you're ready to get started. Alright, so I got my graphing calculator, got it out, going to go ahead and turn it on. Go to my y equals screen, clear it out, and let's type in the equation into y equals. Before we get started, let me show you one thing real quick. F of x is the exact same thing as y. We can treat it as y is equal to 2x squared minus 6x plus 4. So we're going to go ahead and type out the equation. 2x squared, the squared button is on the left hand side of your calculator. Go from the yellow second, follow it straight down till you get to x squared. So 2x squared minus 6x and then plus 4. Press the graph button. Now when I press the graph button, I noticed I'm zoomed way out from the last time I used my graphing calculator. So if your window doesn't look quite right, you can go zoom and go down to a standard. That'll always take you back to your standard window. Press enter. That's a 10 by 10 window, so it goes 10 in all directions. So there we go, we've got the quadratic, and we need to find the vertex right there. You could try to count, but that is not a very accurate way of finding the vertex. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to find that vertex by going second trace, go down to the word minimum, and the reason I'm choosing the word minimum is because my vertex was a minimum. Press enter. Notice it says the word left bound. That just means select any x value that is to the left of that minimum value. So I can pick, -1, because our minimum is over here, -1's over here, so I can type -1 and press enter. Notice it's going to put a little arrow holding my left bound in place. Right bound. So now I'm going to tell it an x value to the right of our vertex. Any x value to the right of the vertex will do. You can choose, looks like, let's be on the safe side, looks like that may be 3 or 4. Let's choose 4 just in case. So I'm going to go 4, press enter. Now you should see 2 arrows pointing towards each other with your vertex between those 2 arrows. It says the word guess. You don't have to guess, just press enter. It's going to calculate, it's going to give you your minimum. Your minimum may not appear exactly as mine does, that's okay. It should round to the same answer. So my minimum is going to be 1.5, comma, -0.5. There you go, you found the vertex of a quadratic. So our minimum again is 1.5, comma, -0.5. And here's one for you to try. Go ahead and work it out, pressing pause, and press play when you're ready to see the answer. Be careful, that is a negative in front of the 3x squared, so you want to use your negative button on your calculator. Alright, so you get your calculator out, you went to your y equals screen, you press the clear button to clear what's there. Type in your equation, -3x squared minus 12x, so -3x squared minus 12x and minus 13. So minus 13. Press graph. Hopefully it'll show up on the graph. It does. In this case, our vertex is a maximum value because it is the highest point on the graph. So we're going to go second trace, go down to the word maximum, press enter. Left bound looks like -1, 2, 3. Looks like -4 for sure is to the left of that maximum point. So I'm going to type -4, press enter. Right bound, I need to pick a value that is to the right of that maximum. Looks like, 0 for sure is to the right. So I'm going to type 0, press enter. Guess, I don't have to guess, I can just press enter, but make sure that those two arrows are facing towards each other and that the vertex is in between them. What your calculator is doing is it is searching for the highest point between the two values you choose. So that's why you got to choose the left bound and right bound. That's going to tell the calculator, I want you to search between these two values, so we did. The guess just means press enter. You tell the calculator, go ahead and search for it. It searches for it. It looks like I've got -1.999999 and then -1. -1.99999 just rounds to -2, comma, -1. So my vertex in this case is going to be -2, comma, -1. And there you go. We have found the vertex to a quadratic using our graphing calculator.